When I was talking to President Trump and we had to talk about the border, I had to get in a question about Biden. The rhetoric is escalating between President Trump and former Vice President Biden. Here is what he really thinks about the former Vice President. Listen. Vice President Biden seems to be escalating words with you, first on Twitter, and now he said that you're a tragedy in 2 acts. Your reaction?
Well, we have the greatest economy in the history of our country. We have the best job numbers we've ever had. More people are working today in the United States than ever before. They're paying less tax than just about ever before. We have the biggest tax cut in the history of our country. The regulations are cut lower than they've ever been. I mean, we've done more regulation cutting than any administration, whether it's 4 years or 8 years. This country is doing well. We're rocking. The military is taken care of. The vets are in the best shape they've ever been in. We have choice now for the vets, which they've been trying to get, as you know, for 45 years unsuccessfully. And, you know, to him, hey, part of the reason I'm here is because of him and President Obama. If they did a good job, I probably wouldn't be president. What else do you have to say?
All right, Mr. President, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. You do a great job.
Thank you much. I appreciate being on the border. I have to ask you, I know you get asked every day, one final question, that is, are we any closer to seeing the Mueller report? So much made of it. There's now critics of your Attorney General.
Well, you know, there's no collusion, okay, the famous word collusion. There's no obstruction because they put a decision and the Attorney General made the decision. He said no obstruction. So there's no collusion. There's no obstruction. There's no nothing. It's all a big hoax. And the Democrats want to keep playing it because they've done a lousy job. They haven't governed well. Again, that's why I'm here. The way they governed is the reason that I'm president. And we are doing a great job. So it's really up to the Attorney General, whatever he wants to do. But everybody waited for the Mueller report. Then it turns out that there's no obstruction, no collusion, no anything. And now the rest is up to the Attorney General. Schiff and Nadler, they keep playing their games. They can't get off it. And they were very disappointed, but it was a very easy decision. And these were not people that liked Donald Trump. I called them the 13 angry Democrats. These were people that were angry. They should have never been allowed to write about me. These were 13 angry people with hatred toward me. And then they added more, 17 or 18. And they all were angry at Donald Trump. And they still came up with no collusion. Very few people could that happen to, where they go through almost 2 years of nonsense, haters, total haters, and they come up with no collusion? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, thank you.
Joining me right now, Congress of Racial Equality leader Niger Innis and former White House advisor under President Clinton, Doug Schoen. Good to see you both. Doug,
Good to see you, Trace.
Goodness, I mean, they just won't stop, and I find it historically just so wrong and culturally insulting, frankly, to anyone who lost a family member during those horrific World War II years, whether it was in a Nazi Germany concentration camp or whether it was a family member who fought to free Germany. I mean, you got these guys out there, these young guys trying to say that the administration is the equivalent of the Third Reich. Come on.
Well, I guess I come at it a slightly different way, but reach the same conclusion, Trish. I am proud that our embassy is now, because of President Trump, in Jerusalem. I'm proud that this week he recognized the sovereignty of the state of Israel over the Golan Heights. To compare a president who has a 95% approval rating in Israel to someone who has anything to do with Nazi Germany is, to me, ridiculous. And on immigration, call Jay Johnson, Obama's Secretary for Homeland Security, who said we have a crisis at the border, acknowledging what the president said. What we need is immigration reform, not crazy, absurd rhetoric.
Yeah, you know, as I started off the show, what I was saying was they're not, you can have immigration reform and you can have border security. I mean, actually, you should have both. They go hand in hand. And
Absolutely.
there are Democrats right now, Niger, that are saying, oh, no, if you want border security, then somehow you're racist against Hispanics that would want to come here. No. You can have strong borders while simultaneously inviting people to come here and participate in our great country, in our great economy, but, you know, make it easier for people to do it the right way.
Some of the folks that want legal immigration, want border security more than any other are Hispanic Americans. There are polls that are showing that Trump's popularity with the Hispanic community is going to go through the roof if he's successful at implementing his immigration policy. Look, the Democratic Party, I can't wait for 2020 because I've got my popcorn out, because watching the Democratic follies, also known as the presidential campaign, is going to be hysterical. The Democratic Party of Bill Clinton circa 1992, of JFK, of RFK, of even Jimmy Carter in 1976, of Doug Schoen in the old days when he was a mainstream Democrat. That Democrat Party is long gone. It is buried. It has been replaced by a group of angry, hateful folk who are going to be competing to see who's most crazy.
Well, look, Doug, you predicted this in your book where you looked at Venezuela and the threat of socialism, and you've predicted that, you know, socialism, if we go down that path, it's very hard to recover from that. And that's exactly the path the Democratic Party is going down.
I did say it, and I appreciate your acknowledging that, Trish. Thank you. But I never thought that we would have the Maduro-Chavez wing of the Democratic Party. Basically, Democrats who embrace Cuban-style or Venezuelan-style socialism. It's absurd, demeaning, and ridiculous to the values that made our country what it is today.
And speaking of anti-Semitism, you know, this is the same Democrat Party. They've got the nerve to be hypocrites. This is the same Democratic Party that could not condemn Oman for the anti-Semitic statements that she's made. There are large segments of the Democratic far left-wing constituency that Doug made reference to, the Maduro-Chavez wing of the party, that are virulently anti-Semitic, that do not believe that Israel should exist as a Jewish state, that would want to wipe it off the map. That is a part of the Democratic Party today.
Well, I mean, that's tragic, right? Because as you said, this is not the party, you know, and by the way, that's not the party that can win. I mean, they're out there trying to destroy Joe Biden, Doug, who, you know, had Joe Biden actually run, I say he would have given Donald Trump a run for his money in 2016. They just made the mistake of, you know, putting forward Hillary Clinton. I know you like her and everything because you're close to Bill, but let's face it, she's no Bill.
Well, she's no Bill. I didn't support her, though I have worked for her. And I would say Joe Biden's now well ahead in the polls. Why does the left wing do exactly what Niger says they're trying to do, which is to drag him down and drag down anyone who's in the middle and is a moderate, rational person? And to me, the left is intolerant, they're hostile, and they really are more about their own ideological purity than winning an election and offering an alternative set of positive policies to those of the president.
What a shame. Niger and Doug.
It is a shame.
Good to see you guys. Thank you so much.
Venezuela's a mess. This is what socialism brings. You elect a socialist here, you'll have the same exact countries you have in Venezuela.
President Trump again saying a socialist would ruin the United States. But now talk in D.C. is that Democrats fear that it's looking more and more like Trump versus Bernie Sanders in 2020. Even potential 2020 contender Howard Schultz says that Trump will win if Democrats nominate a socialist like Bernie Sanders.
If a Democrat runs who resembles Bernie Sanders, who says he's a Democratic socialist, Donald Trump is going to get reelected.
Let's get Washington Times editor Charles Hurt in here for his opinion. What's your take, a landslide or a horse race here with Bernie?
Oh, I think that would be a landslide, no doubt at all. And I think that the interesting thing about the town hall last night with Schultz just revealed just how far left the Democratic Party has sort of found itself, wandering off into the arms of open borders and of course socialism. And I think he's exactly right that if if Democrats go with somebody like Bernie Sanders, Donald Trump is going to have a field day with him.
Big divisions in the Democrat Party. Even top Democrats fear Trump will win in a landslide, as voters, they think, will reject Bernie Sanders' policies. You know, watch what Nancy Pelosi is saying. She made a rare move, Charles. She slammed Bernie Sanders' single payer to the Washington Post. For the first time, Nancy Pelosi quoting its price tag. Quote, here's what she said. Show me how you think you can get there. Let's see what Medicare for all means. A lot of people love having their employer-based insurance. Remember, single payer would get rid of that. Right now, Medicare for all has a $30 trillion price tag. What do people get for that in terms of care? And what do they pay for along the way? That's a really interesting takedown. We haven't seen Nancy get so aggressive like that against Bernie Sanders.
Well, you know, anytime you have Nancy Pelosi shedding some reality on your situation, you're probably in trouble. But that, of course, is the most important question. And the most important question always is, okay, this all sounds great. I want health care for everybody. I want everybody on the planet, Liz, to have good health care. The question is, how do we get there? What's the best way to get there? Do we think that a government solution is the answer? I happen to know that the government solution is not the way to get there. And that's basically what Nancy Pelosi was saying. She's saying, look, I love all of this stuff. I love pie in the sky. I love the Green New Deal. But who's going to pay for it? How are we going to get there? And like I say, if she's the one who's bringing reality to your party, then you know you're in trouble.
And Nancy Pelosi said to the Washington Post, Medicare for all is broken.
Yeah.
But let me back up. Medicare, the ground for Medicare for all is broken. It's costing a lot of money to fix it. That's what Nancy Pelosi is saying in going after Bernie Sanders' plan. I mean, we haven't seen Nancy say things like this. Now, how can Bernie Sanders win when the economy is looking so good? We've got a blue-collar worker shortage, blue-collar construction worker jobs growing at the fastest in 30 years, nearly 200,000 jobs nearly in today's report. We got hundreds of thousands of manufacturing jobs coming in, Charles, and a 49-year low in the jobless rate. Your take here.
I interviewed President Trump earlier this week at the White House, and he's feeling very confident going into 2020, and this is exactly why. Because if you have a good economy, a president is very likely to get reelected. A president is very likely to get reelected anyway. But especially if you have a good economy and you're running against people who are espousing socialism, that's a pretty easy thing for Trump to win.
And by the way, Medicare for all would wipe out Obamacare, so Nancy doesn't like that. And when people go into the voting booth, in their head they say to themselves, what are you going to do for me? Final word, Charles.
Yeah, exactly. And if the economy is good, what are you going to do for me? Well, if I get to keep my job and I'm seeing wages go up, that person's probably going to vote for re-election for the guy that's in there.
That's a great point. 8 straight months of wages growing at 3% plus. We haven't seen that in a while. Charles Hurt, with the editor with the Washington Times. Great to have you on. Come back soon.
Great to be with you.